You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in this household. Today we have an unprecedented, an untested, which is probably the most important thing to say. We have two live guests with me today. We've got our usual Danny Webb, who is now I reckon you've upgraded from our work experience to our normal, and probably shipped TC24, who's joined us for the first time from his vacation in Tahiti. He's back. He's finally back. How are you, boys?
Yeah, very good, Macca. Good to be here, mate. Good to be back.
I've been planning on keeping the work experience kid title. It's already in my Twitter handle, so that ain't going nowhere.
Yep, fair enough. We'll keep with that then. How was Tahiti, Timmy? You look very tanned and beautiful, mate.
Hey, I've been slogging away for 4 weeks in the trenches at work. I'm just happy to be here and talk some shit with you guys. Finally, I've been hanging out to get back. So,
it is good to see your
holiday for me.
It is good to see your face again, mate. Danny has stepped in and absolutely dominated in the last 4 weeks.
I've been able to follow along. He's done a brilliant job, especially last week when you decided to just fuck off for a good 15 minutes.
Just jump ship and let
it was fun.
solo.
Yeah. But
you swam so well, and the boys have...
you could literally hear the cogs turning in Danny's head, like, is Macca coming back? Like, what are you doing here? And then, at the same time, it was still pretty smooth. Like, you just rolled with it. It was brilliant. I loved it.
No, so did I. There has been some very good feedback about that, Danny. How do you feel about that, mate?
Well, I hated doing it and I hated listening to it. So it's good that there's been some positive feedback coming out of it. But yeah, it definitely was my favourite moment of the podcast. I'm not going to lie.
It might happen again in the future, so make sure you're ready to go.
Always prepared. Always prepared.
Yeah, well, you've set that standard for yourself.
Next time just has to be smooth.
All right, so I do have some news before we do get into it. We've got some Any Given Sunday news. I hinted at this the other day on our socials, but last week I had an interview with the NFL Australia and New Zealand General Manager, Charlotte Offord. 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 I don't want to say her name wrong. She was an absolute gem to speak to, and so that will be aired as part of Thursday's podcast. And look, I just want to say, just quietly, we had a chat afterwards. She was really good to talk to, and she did confirm that Any Given Sunday is now Australia's number one NFL podcast. So well done, lads. We've done real well.
The recognition.
Yeah, about time.
I don't want to blow your head up.
She didn't want to go on record and confirm that?
Yeah, she did confirm that. I didn't record it, but I'm pretty sure she's happy for me to say that.
Fantastic.
It's all that matters. All that matters.
That's it. And I don't want to blow your head up a bit too much, TC, but she did say that the number one requested jersey in Australia is a Raiders TC24 jersey. So I don't know what's going on there.
Mom, stop it.
We're going to have to get those made up, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. All right, let's get into some news. Did you boys get to see much over the weekend? How was your weekend? TC, we'll start with you. How was the weekend?
I was busy. I think you'll know exactly how my weekend was because I spent it with you two idiots. It was busy. I saw a little bit of some games. So, yeah, we'll see how we go.
And Danny, how did you pull up after our AGM?
Yeah, the weekend was great. Like, very large weekend. And there was some football watched. We'll say some.
There was.
There was. Yes. There was a rather big weekend, drinking a lot of coffee is what I've been told. But I did find the next day after our AGM that we had, I was travelling home, and as you do after a big weekend on the tools, just wanted to pull into like a tuck shop, I guess you could say, and I wanted to try just to alleviate some of how I was feeling. And I came across a new culinary experience. So I don't know if you boys have actually tried it, but curry dim sims. Have you ever tried curry dim sims before? It was surprisingly delicious.
How behind these little delights.
I honestly cannot remember the actual shop that I went into. It was early Sunday morning driving home, but I saw them and they were the greasiest things there. So I thought, you know what, this is going to be the best for me, and they were surprisingly good.
You'd recommend?
I do. I surprisingly do.
And is that the first time you've got them?
Yeah. I've never seen them before. Have you seen them?
Well done. Yeah. What's the price wise? Where do they compare?
I dealt in cash. I don't really know. The wallet just kind of came out. And I just flew. They probably ripped me off. I actually don't know.
Brain wasn't thinking too much counting on Sunday.
No, I'm surprised they were open that early. But hey, I felt pretty good that Sunday afternoon. So
it must have been working. They must
led
have
to a
been
bit
working.
of inward reflection.
Inward reflection. It was just food, mate. Just food. But, yes. All right. Anyway, if you do get the chance, try some Code Dim Sims. They were pretty good.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get into we'll go quickly. There's some big injury news, but we'll go through some of the other, not small injury news, but the other not as large in the T-Mac injury report. Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker has...
Oh, well, have you still not done an opener for yourself?
Oh, I have not. No, I'm, like I said, surprisingly busy.
I've been gone for 4 weeks.
I guess I wasn't putting enough
surprisingly
pressure on
busy in that 4 weeks.
Yeah,
you put heaps of pressure on. Shut up.
Now there's 2 of us, Danny. We can just come in place.
Anyway, poor Kenneth Walker, he's been given what has been... he has an ankle strain, which I've never heard of, but... that's what it's been said. So he's a day-to-day. He might be out this week, but they reckon he should be right by next week. Maxi's Bengals big tight end Hayden Hurst. He's doubtful with this week. He went out of the game against the Chiefs with a calf injury, a left calf or a right calf, one of the two. It's 50-50 chance, really. The Dolphins have signed big offensive tackle Eric Fisher. That's after they put Austin Jackson on the IR this week. So that veteran, the old boy, gets another run at it. And the Jags are very optimistic this week that Trevor Lawrence will be right to play after he has further tests on an injured left foot. I believe he played out the entire game this week. I might be wrong, but they're still optimistic that he'll be right to go this week, week 14. But we do have some bigger news to go across, and I'm going to go throw to you first off, TC. Jimmy Garoppolo. Seems like he might be done for the season.
Jimmy G, he's broken, I think, multiple bones in his foot in the game on the weekend. It was just a tackle, like a run-of-the-mill tackle. His foot just sort of got jammed up underneath. Have you seen the video of it?
No, I didn't get to see the start of that game. I watched most of it, but not the start.
Yeah, it looks like you'd expect to come away with like an ankle sprain or something, like just the way it gets jammed up. But yeah, unfortunately, he's broken a few bones in his foot. So that's terrible news for the 49ers, and Jackie Rayner won't be too happy. This puts a big dent in their sort of, run into the playoffs, their chances going forward.
Yes, the tunes. Tunes provided by iTunes, was it? Or
I don't know where it is.
Hey, they're funky. They're good. It goes with the LA Raiders, kind of the old school.
I can't pause it. Anyway.
Oh, background music's fine. That's fine. We'll run with it.
Now it's playing. Hang on a minute.
While you work that out, we'll go over to Danny. What have you read much about it? Did you see the injury?
Yeah, I did see the injury. So, yeah, it kind of looked like, as Cass was saying, his foot kind of got rolled up underneath him. And as he landed on it, must have just crunched and crunched multiple bones. So it's the second time this season that the Niners have lost their starting quarterback to a season-ending injury, which isn't great for the 49ers. And it was with 11 minutes and 22 seconds left in the first quarter. So it was very, very early on. Their replacement quarterback, their rookie, Purdy, threw his first NFL touchdown in the game as he replaced him on his first drive, which is pretty impressive. He finished with 25 of 37 for 210 yards, 2 scores and 1 interception. So it was a pretty big step up for him to come in, and they took down the Dolphins in the end. So Quite a big entrance for him to come in, especially as an injury replacement halfway through the first quarter.
Well, and huge for Brock too, because he was a super low draft pick.
He was the last. He was the last pick in the draft.
Very last. There you go. Yes.
Very last pick.
Mr. Irrelevant, they called him, didn't they? Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because obviously starting off the season, he's third string, so he was nowhere. And then Trey went down, and then became Jimmy's team again. So now he's got his look, and he didn't look too out of place out there. Like there was a lot of sort of positive feedback on how he went and how he sort of managed the game for the rest of the game. And obviously they've come away with the dub, so good on him.
Yeah. I think if you can step into that system, they're a very plug and place kind of system anyway. So if he just plays his role, I think they might be all right. But like you said,
another one in sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's still a massive, like you said, first season as a rookie thrown into there, and we said the other day, Danny, that it was almost the game of the week. So to step into that kind of game, that was like you said, pretty good by him, but to be able to rally and actually beat the Dolphins.
And it was a ripper game in the end. Like, there's heaps of interceptions. It was very competitive throughout until obviously San Fran kind of took over. But you're saying that it's a plug and play. But for Brocky, he's got some pretty big shoes to fill. So when Jimmy's been starting, the 49ers are 42-19. And then when they've had any other starting quarterbacks, which they've had a few throughout the time, they're 9-29. So it is a massive discrepancy in wins and losses when Jimmy actually isn't playing. So yeah, Brock's got some massive shoes to fill, and he'll be obviously stepping up for the rest of the season. So hopefully he can continue to play how he finished against the Dolphins, but it'll be, I guess, only time will tell to see how he actually performs.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other big quarterback injury that we had, again, we'll start with you, Timmy. Lamar Jackson is, I heard, day-to-day / week-to-week. What does that mean?
I've heard week to week. I think they're just not, I don't know if they're not sure or they're just not wanting to go into how severe it is, like not wanting to give away too much. Obviously, the Ravens, as much as Danny poo-poos them, they're still well within playoff contention and it's still a bit of a contender. But this one was a bit more innocuous. Like it was sort of hard to pinpoint the moment his knee sort of got injured. But I think they're saying this is a strain, potentially a medial strain, I think. That's what they were saying in his right knee.
So confirmed not a knee, Bruzzy? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. Well, at this stage.
Yeah. So it
just the way
Lamar
plays,
Sorry, it looked more like an impact injury. That's what I thought was when he hurt himself. Is that not when he did it? Like when his knee actually hit the ground? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like I sort of struggling to pinpoint exactly where he did it. If it was just in a little plant and there was just a little twist, or like you said, if it was on the impact, then it was hard to tell. But yeah, just the way his style of play, obviously, he uses his legs quite a lot, so they're going to want him cherry ripe, and particularly going into the playoffs, they're not going to want to rush him back, too early and risk re-injuring him. But the other thing with that is the Bengals nipping right at their heels in the AFC North, so they kind of got to, a bit of weigh out the pros and cons of they need to keep winning, but also they need Lamar healthy. So it'll just be a little bit of a balancing act with him, I reckon. That's probably why they're being a bit more vague, week to week, day to day. They'll just make the call when he's cherry ripe.
And this will be the fourth week. I reckon we mentioned it last week, Danny. This will be the fourth week in a row that he'll be missing or on the injury list during practice. So for someone who's trying to get that big mega deal, like money deal, and to be saying, my body's pretty durable, he's had 4 different injuries in 4 weeks. Like, that doesn't really bode too well going forward.
Yeah, so the coach has already come out and said if he is out, the replacement will be Tyler Hadley, and he's going to actually step in practice and take all the reps. So when the replacement's going to do all the reps for practice, I would say it's probably looking less likely that he's going to be playing this week, this Sunday, and probably more likely to be looking at a return for the following week.
Have either of you two seen Tyler Huntley? He is Lamar Jackson 2.0.
Oh, I reckon you touched on this at the start of the year. I haven't seen much of him, but
he's a genuine plug and place. He is the exact same.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the coach came out and said. They're like, we're not worried if either way, whether Lamar Jackson has to come back and play or if Tyler Huntley's going to do it, because they play exactly the same way. It's not like the team has to adjust to a different quarterback. It's literally like they are the same.
Well, and as an organisation too, they're probably a little bit less worried as well, just in terms of the negotiating with Lamar. Like you guys hit the nail on the head. Like he's starting to get a few more of these little niggling injuries. I think that hurts his case a little bit. Like going forward, negotiating for all that guaranteed money, just the cracks showing up in his durability just hurts him just a little bit. Just hurts that he bet on himself, and like we loved it, good on him, but he might just have to knock a couple of zeros off or something, or just drop that down a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just the guaranteed side of things. I reckon that's the one thing.
Yeah, let's just knock a couple of zeros off.
A little bit off the top.
Yeah.
Let's knock a couple of zeros off. Let's go from 250 million just at 25,000. That's fine.
Fuck that, yeah. I knock zeros off Cardi's contract every time he doesn't show up. So
So one went from 0 to 0.
Zeros off zero.
It was 3 zeros. Now it's only 2.
One day.
All right, but we do have some actual breaking news. Sorry, Danny.
You're good.
I will break it, being the guy who it's kind of my podcast. But the Panthers have waived quarterback Baker Mayfield. I definitely did not expect to wake up to this news. Timmy, again, we'll start with you. What's happened, mate? They've gotten rid of him.
Well, this kind of it ties into our other story about Jimmy going down and potentially Lamar, depending how long he's out for. But I don't know, like you said, you're surprised, but the writing was on the wall a little bit. Like Baker obviously got traded from the Browns when they signed Deshaun and was going to the Panthers. He was going to resurrect his career. This was going to be his big time to get everything going again, and he couldn't win. I think as a starter, he was 1-5 at the Panthers, so just never happened for him. And whether or not that was because did he go into that system late, or was that was in July, wasn't it? He went across.
It wasn't still not early. You've still got
early,
to be your starting quarterback. You want as much time as you can.
Yeah, interrupted. Not the most ideal preparation or for whatever reason, but he just couldn't get it going from a former number 1 draft pick that, once pretty highly touted, just was never able to get it going. So potentially I think there's some reports saying he requested to get waived. Other reports saying that they were going to waive him regardless. So whatever way it happened.
I did hear it was a mutual split, but
yeah, it's, they broke up, they're both mutual. It's a mutual breakup. But the sort of the talk now is whether does he end up at the 49ers or do maybe the Ravens look at trying to get him potentially for a little bit if Lamar's going to be out for potentially a few weeks. So that's sort of where the focus has shifted now. So the Panthers are going to obviously go with Darnold and Walker as their 2 starting options for the rest of the year. They sort of, like you keep alluding to, they sort of cleared house a little bit. But they still keep winning games and there's still a chance to take out the division, believe it or not. Just because of how weak he is. I think their record's 4-8, and they're still in with a shot in the division. So, which is wild. But
there's a divisional game happening right now, which we will come across now. But depending how that game goes, I think they're only 1 game behind the top, which is blows your mind.
Yeah, the Bucks are only one game ahead, which, as you touched on, they're playing at the moment. So it could be 2, but like just to still be that close and to have the appearance of looking like they're trying to hit the reset button. It's pretty wild. But I suppose it just shows how weak that division is too.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny, what have you read about it? I also read that it was mutual, but have you seen different?
Yeah, I read that it was mutual as well because apparently Mayfield asked for his release after learning that he wouldn't be the starter or even the backup moving forward. So it's like, well, if I'm going to be 3rd string, I want out as well. So that came from Mayfield's, from Baker's management team or whoever it is. So if you listen to that, I guess it's sounding mutual, but if he's going to be dropped to the 3rd string as an aspiring quarterback, you probably do want out. And now there's a couple of positions opening up potentially, even as a backup or a backup to a backup, which now you would have been 3rd string, but now the main quarterback's out in the case of the 49ers. You're stepping up a little bit. So maybe that was his thought process, leaning more into just release me. It hasn't worked out. See if I can work my way into another team and kind of restart my career from there.
Yeah, you're already kind of stepping on the toes of what has been the since TC has moved on for the last month in Tahiti. The biggest segment that we do have, which I'll just play the opener
It's
now.
time for questions without notice.
Now, as it does suggest, you guys didn't actually know, so stop stepping on the questions without notice. I just want to preference the first question by saying I don't think the only reason he can go or would go to the Ravens, he's going to be a backup because Tyler Huntley is. Like I said, he is Lamar 2.0. Mark Andrews would have already a pretty good relationship with him. So if he's going to the Ravens, he's a backup. But this is for both of you. Timmy, we'll go to you first.
Roger.
Does it work for him to go to San Fran? Do you think that's a play that could happen?
For Baker?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got to look at increasing his own stocks, his own appeal. So if he gets to the 49ers and then that becomes a decision for them, do they go with Brock or do they go with Baker, someone who's sort of played and kind of proven before they can play at this level? And with the 49ers being in such close contention as what they are, they're going to go with the best prospect for them, not just through sheer loyalty to Brock or, whatever. So if he's going to the 49ers, he's going to play, and he's got a huge chance to probably potentially, maybe could do something really special. Like could turn into the biggest story of the year. They go and win a Super Bowl or whatever. Like their defense is rock solid, and as you said, the offense is pretty systematic. Sort of not. What did you say? How did you describe it? Not
no idea.
One goes down, you replace it with another
one. So
one was definitely. If he can get into the 49ers and just slot into that offense and just do his job, mate, he could have a really good sort of finish to the year and potentially like a pretty dynamite playoff series. So I reckon, go to the 49ers.
Before we go to you, Danny, and ask the same question, Timmy, do you think that Baker's the kind of guy that will plug and play and go in and just follow the system, or is he kind of I want to semi-run it my way?
I feel like he's a little bit run it my way, but maybe his time and his experience at the Panthers, maybe he's been able to mature a little bit. And if he goes to the 49ers, maybe he will be able to just take a step back from himself and maybe just slot in and just play the role. But I think he probably deep down is that it's a little bit of my way.
Yeah. So, Danny, same question to you. Does it work for Baker to go to San Fran?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably going to be his best move. Whether he ends up being the backup to Brock or not, the 49ers can play that on how they're performing in practice and how probably Brock performs next week. And then they can make a decision from that, whether Mayfield ends up stepping up to be the first string or not. I think it gives him the most amount of options. It's going to give him the highest chance of getting back to being a starting quarterback. I think it would be a smart move for Baker and probably not the worst move for the 49ers because they're going to be in need of a backup to Brock, or they've got the option for both. They can, like you said, bit of plug and play offense. So if they can get them both on the same page and they can just pick and choose on the day, try and build up some continuity between both of them in case either one of them goes down, then that's probably going to be the smartest move for the 49ers, especially with their big playoff push coming ahead. And they did look really well in the closing, 3.5 quarters when Brock was playing. So whether they decide to keep Brock in and have Baker as a backup or not, well, I guess only time will tell, or time will tell whether they sign him or not. But I think it would be a smart thing for the 49ers to do.
Yep, nice.
That's, I think, totally agree too, Danny. It makes much more sense for the 49ers to get an experienced head who Baker around Brock, or, get a bit of an experienced head around Brock. So it makes more sense for the 49ers too to sort of try and get him in.
Yeah. So you can just relax now, Danny. This one's purely for Timmy. It's along the same vein. So obviously, as we speak right now, they don't have Baker, right? Let's say they go forward, they stick with Brock. Does San Fran still win their division? They've got the Seahawks snapping at their heels. Do they still win the division?
Pretty bullish on the Hawks, as you know, or the Seahawks, sorry, as you know. The Big Gino's my man in fantasy, so I've got a little soft spot there. I think off the back of their defense, they're still looking really strong. I haven't had a look at their run home, obviously, because this is questions without notice. So I think, yes, the 49ers can still win the division, just based off the back of their defense and how strong they are on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep. Nice. Now, all right, you relax, Timmy. I've got a similar. It's come from the same tree, but it is slightly on the other side. It's about the Cleveland Browns this time. I don't know if you saw much of the game, but Deshaun copped a fair bit from the Texans, which I thought was fair this week. But Danny, is it fair for players? Well, not players. I hope players aren't. Is it fair for fans to continue to boo Deshaun Watson as we go forward and really heckle him?
I think they've got to do it no matter what, because of everything that went on with him. It's bound to happen. Whether it's fair or not, it's probably a different story.
That was kind of the question.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. For everything he did, yeah, probably if it all comes out, but I know he was like they said a lot of the things, but if it all came out to be true and stuff, yeah, probably does deserve to be booed.
Nice. As short and sweet as you're going to get. I like it. Now that is the news and the questions without notice done. I do have a couple of interesting facts that I want just your opinion on, boys, or just a comment or two before we get into the slate of games. First one is I actually spoke to our boy Maxi yesterday about this. Kansas City, their last win. Obviously, we'll cover this in the wrap up. They lost yesterday to Cincinnati. Their last win against Cincinnati in Cincinnati was the 9th of September, 1984. Since then, they've been 0-7. So if Cincinnati can get a bit of a run on and just like last year's AFC championship, AFC or divisional, whichever one it was, if they get Kansas City in Cincinnati, sounds like they've got the upper leg.
Yeah, absolutely. 84. I didn't know that was the stat.
Yeah.
I knew that they were 0-3 against the Bagels in this last year alone. But that record at home, that's pretty telling.
Yeah. They did. There was a big stint where they didn't play him there. I don't know why, whether it was just the way it worked out.
Yeah.
But in the last, I think it's 0-6 in the 2000s as well. So
just got the wood over him for whatever reason. But it would have been an AFC championship game, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Was it to get into the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, because they also beat, as in Kansas also beat Tampa Bay. So it must have been the AFC championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kansas played Buffalo in that wild game to get into that game. So it was an AFC championship game. So that's huge. So if they can do the same, get close to the first or second seed and have that top spot.
Lock in a home game.
I'd
be pretty happy with that.
And I don't care who you are. Patrick Mahomes is elite in every sense of the word. But having that kind of record in Cincinnati, that dawns on most people. What do you reckon, Danny?
Yeah, that'd absolutely get in any players or team's head being like, they're probably going to come out even hungrier because we got to stop this record. But obviously that record is there for a reason. Like it's going to be looming over them, and it's going to be a bit of a mental game as much as a physical game when it's like that.
Absolutely.
Well, what about what it'll do to the 12th man as well? Like, whew, it'll be up and about.
Oh yeah, Cincinnati. I'm sure they already knew about it, but now the rest of the world knows about it.
Like they know that record. They beat that up and big it up. They'll just be wild. Like,
yeah, the media and the news would be all over it leading into it, and I dare say they will know every single stat going into that game.
Yeah, bloody yeah.
Just great.
The second and probably most
pressure. Sorry, mate.
Mate, you do not want to get in the way of this stat, all right? This stat is the second and the more important stat, and I can see TC24 is already giggling at it. He doesn't know what it is, but as of yesterday, Green Bay has become the most winningest team of all time, surpassing the Bears. I called it earlier in the year that we were going to beat the Bears in round 2 to become the most winningest team. The season hasn't quite worked out the way we wanted, but we still beat the Bears in round, week 13, to pass them as the most winningest team of all time. And let's be honest, I can't really see us losing this title, ever.
It's an irrelevant stat. You're two of the oldest teams, obviously, in the league. You play each other. Oh, nah, it's irrelevant.
Just Cards is just
Let's just give.
throwing your pen in the air.
So it's an irrelevant stat.
There's nothing irrelevant about it.
I knew this was coming up with this game.
Let's just give Green Bay fans and Green Bay owners all the kudos that they deserve. We are the most winningest team of all time. This is incredible. Well done, Green Bay. I think where's the media? Let's give them the claps that they deserve.
Means nothing.
Being such a hater.
I didn't know anyone who was 5-8 this season would be celebrating that much. But anyway, each to their own.
Yeah. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to run with it this time. I think we might have actually just, deliberately gone so that we could play this game and pass them at this point, because obviously we fucked up round one and that didn't happen for us. But Aaron Rodgers is a big brain. He knew if I beat these guys and lose to them, and then hey, we'll beat Chicago in week 13 and we'll take their title. I love it. That's perfect. Well done. No, we will never be beaten now. We will be number one for all time.
Yeah, so what, you're just going to go undefeated from here on out for the rest of the time?
No, we just have to make sure that we're ahead of the Bears.
Hang on a minute, let's think about this. The Bears are starting to look a little bit more potent with Justin Fields, and then they've got, I think, locked in number 2 pick in the draft this year. They might be looking like a little bit more of a dangerous side next year. You guys are looking like rubbish. What's going to happen with Aaron? Who's going to be your quarterback? You guys might drop away even more next year. Bang, Bears grab it back. Off they run with it.
The Bears are on the way up. The Bears are on the way up and the Packers are on the way down. So you saying this is going to go on
be careful,
forever. You might just be cursing your own team. It would be the podcast curse all over again.
I'd be careful.
Did either of you see the game? We won. We beat them. I don't care if they're on the way out. We fucking beat them. And I don't know, again, if you've seen the stats, I'm obviously all up. Yeah, no, that just continues. The Bears are shit. So the stats are the stats. Christian Watson is the wide receiver of the future. He's had 8 touchdowns combined in the last 4 weeks. You know, that's more than Devontae Adams had in the last 4 weeks.
Who's going to be
more than Justin? Well, him or Jordan Love. They're both superstars. Who cares? Packers all the way. Baby! My little man.
Hey,
on my shoulder.
There he is.
Yeah. Oh, you two have been bashing me for long enough. Let's get into this week's game. I am happy. I am. I will start off by saying that we are at the end of the first quarter in the Saints-Bucks game. It is a tight one early. The Bucks are up 3-0. It is high scoring. I'm glad that in my bet for our punters club, I did not pick the overs, which I was going to do. So
it's a barn now.
Ooh, that's good. I'm glad. We'll cover that again at the end just to see if there's an update, or there will be an update, but how far into it we are. We're going to change it up from what we have in the past. I'm going to run through the slate of games, and you boys are going to jump in with any comments that you have about the games. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds beautiful to me.
All right, so we started off on Friday with the Bills and the Pats. It was a workmanlike win by the Pats and the Bills. Oh God, maybe we should go back to you two. The Pats have dug themselves a pretty big hole in regards to the season with their divisions, extremely strong. 24-10 for the Bills. Josh Allen, I reckon, still just slightly struggling with that elbow, but still through for 223 and a couple of tuds. Diggs, still doing Diggs stuff. 7 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. It was a good win by the Bills. What do you reckon, TC?
Yeah, he said Allen's struggling a bit still, but he managed to put together, I think it was a 9-minute, 16 or 15 play drive at one point, I think in maybe the second quarter. So it's starting to look like his old self again. But yeah, just touching on the Patriots, it's looking pretty tough for them. Like, they're obviously at the bottom of a strong division in the AFC East. Year done for them. Put a line through them. They're not making the playoffs.
Cooked them. Nice. Fair enough.
Cooked.
Fair enough. The next game, which I'll go to you, Danny, and have a chat about, so make sure you're all over it. Steelers-Falcons. This was a little bit of a surprise, I thought. Young Kenny Pickett is starting to show a little bit, I think. Threw for 197 and 1 touchdown, and Najee Harris has started to just get himself back into a little bit of last year's form where he was absolutely elite, 17 carries for 86 yards, and got the 19-16 win over the Falcons, holding on in a tight last quarter. Did you come across this game, Danny?
Yeah, so obviously the Falcons were really hoping for the win to try and get either above, or depending on what happens today, above or equal with the Buccaneers. So that the Falcons are actually quite desperate for this one. So for the Steelers to take it off them was very impressive for the Steelers, especially the Steelers being the bottom of the AFC North. So I think the Falcons actually probably needed this a whole lot more than the Steelers, and the Steelers just took it straight from their hands.
Yeah. Another stat before we move on with the Steelers. I think they're going for like 17 or 18 years in a row of a plus 500 season. They're at 5-7, so
a losing season. So
yeah, so they're actually in the chance. I think I don't know what
keep the streak alive.
Yeah, well, it's huge, isn't it? Like it's nearly legal drinking age in Australia. Like, that's amazing.
Not the Steelers.
Yeah. I'll leave you two to rest about this one. The Packers and the Bears, I'll talk about it. We got the job done 28-19. Justin Fields actually played pretty well. Threw for 254, but 2 interceptions probably hurts him. He ran for he had a rushing touchdown. AJ Dillon had a bit of probably this year's coming out game, 18 carries, 93 yards, and I think it was about 28-yard rushing touchdown for him. Like I said, they were in the box seat late. The Bears, we were up 20-19. They were pretty much just doing what they wanted, going down the field before Justin Fields threw an interception, which led to the final. Christian Watson, who had a receiving and a rushing touchdown. Like I said, he is the wide receiver of the future, but it surprisingly keeps it. We're 5-8, the Packers. It keeps us actually slightly in touch for the playoffs, which I didn't think that we would be. So if we win out, we're actually still a chance of winning, although we've got to bye this week.
Mathematically, you're still with a chance.
Yeah, but we do need a lot to go our way, but you never know. See what happens.
Yeah. As much as we give you shit, watching both of Watson's touchdowns back, dude's a freak.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He had a drop.
The one was awesome, but then the rushing one was almost more impressive. They were both awesome tutties. So
he is so quick, which
it
is exciting for us to have someone like that. We've had Devontae Adams for a long time. We've always had a real good, first wide receiver, and I think Alan Lazard just had a couple of injuries this year, our boy, but he still played. I think he had 70 or 80 yards this week too. So for someone who's hasn't, I don't think he's been fully fit the entire year. He's always had either a shoulder or an ankle injury.
He's just trying to fill in that role, though, as the experienced receiver.
Yeah, that's it. And that's I reckon that's going to help Watson even going forward next year, the year after.
That's helped his development.
Yeah. And we've still got Romeo Doubs, who's a little bit injured on the sidelines. So, look, you've said you've poo-pooed us and that the Bears are going to take us. So I think the next couple of years we're still looking pretty good. But we'll move on. I talk too much dribble. Carts, This is your game. The Jags and the Lions. This was a bit of a surprise. The Lions.
I tipped the Jags, so
yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't know who I tipped, and it probably was the Jags. 40-14, and they had so they had a 14 and a 10 scoring quarter. That's big for the Lions, I think, and they were such a high octane offense to start the season, but they've had a bit of a rough patch. But Goff, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Swift carried 14 times, 62 yards and a touchdown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is, I don't know, I've got him in one of my fantasy leagues. He just keeps producing 11 receptions, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's becoming one of the elite wide receivers.
Prolific receivers in my fantasy. But like you said, when they get their offense healthy, they're one of the most potent in the league. They don't have the greatest record, but they remember the first few games they were leaking a lot of points, but they were still putting up big numbers early in the year.
Yeah, they were number 1 offense, number 32 defense.
Yeah, that's right. They've obviously fixed a few things up on the defensive side, and now that the offense is getting healthy, they're putting up those big numbers again. So they might come home with a nice little stretch of wins, but I haven't actually looked at where they are in their division. I think
they're last. Actually, no, they're
second.
They're second. They're ahead of their
Vikings are 5 games clear. So
yeah, they're second. Packers third, and the Bears that you guys are saying are on the up and up are last. But 5 and 7, I don't think they've had a 5-win season the last few years. So I think it's still we were bullish, me and you, Carts, the start of the year on the Lions, and I think it's probably
CDC, mate.
Yeah, I think it's actually probably fair enough now. Just 5 and 7,
justified.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks, mate. It's such a good third co-host. All right, the next game is for you, Danny. The Vikings just getting the job done against the Jets. Mike White, again, I spoke to him about him a couple of weeks ago. He had a day out, 369, but 2 interceptions again. They just hurt his cause. But 31 of 57. He's not scared to throw the pill around. But an interception late in the game is what actually hurt them. They were going down the field, looking good to score, to take the lead, but end up losing 27-22 in a tight final quarter. Did you come across this one, Danny?
Yeah, so obviously the Vikings pulled away a lot in the first half. I think it was 20-6 in the first half. And then actually didn't score again until that final quarter, which got them over the line. So the Vikings were looking really strong, and then the Jets came back. And like you said, Mike White is just doing amazing things. Throwing for 369 yards is pretty incredible. But yeah, those 2 interceptions really did hurt him, and it was enough for the Vikings to pull away. So now the Vikings are, like you just said before, gone up to 10-2, which is very impressive for this season. Because as you've been saying, for the majority of the time, you don't know if they're pretending or if they're a real contender. I think 10-2 probably shows that they're fighting.
Yeah, definitely. I think the loss they had to the Cowboys, where they only scored 3 points, has got everyone still a little bit worried about them. But Garrett Wilson for the Jets, he is another one that's just showing, I think it's his second or third year, 8 receptions, 162 yards. Just one to definitely keep your eye on going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Carts, moving on to you, mate. Commanders, Giants.
I was going to say, before you moved on, have you seen all the just sort of the ongoing narrative around, like, obviously Zach Wilson getting benched, and now the Jets players like rocking Mike White t-shirts before the game and like giving really positive feedback about how he controls the game and what he's like in the locker room. Do you think there's a bit of anti-Zach? Not mutiny because he's been benched, but like, a bit of anti-Zach feeling amongst the locker room.
Well, if they're wearing Mike White shirts, you can take it one of two ways. It's really just, let's get around Mike White.
Are they rallying around their boy, or are they poo-pooing
or is
Zach?
it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm not sure how. I think Zach would definitely take it as a slap in the face, but you know what, Mike White's the last few weeks has been he's the man, I think, going forward. So I don't hate the team getting around him.
Yeah, and it's his spot to lose at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And like I think me and Danny said last week, if they go on a run, they're still in. They could play, not Super Bowls, but playoffs. Yeah,
and it's just hard. They're in such a strong division. But
absolutely.
Yeah. No, sorry. Move on to the next one. Sorry, mate.
The Commanders Giants is our second or third tie for the season. 20 all. The Commanders coming away with a late touchdown in the fourth to tie it all up, and then that was it from there. Which this is a good result for the Packers going forward because it just keeps us in touch. I think if the Commanders, or either way, had got the job done, it almost makes it almost out of reach for us. But Taylor Heineke, our man, Danny, that's how you say his name, 275 and 2 touchdowns. Brian Robertson, Jr., I think this is his biggest game. The man who got shot 4 times is 21 carries for 96 yards. And
2 times?
He got 7 times he got shot, I believe. 12 times in the lower legs.
Empty the whole clip.
Yeah, that's it. Terry McLaurin, 8 receptions, 105 yards. He's earned his cash, and a touchdown to go along with it. But another tie, TC.
What's your thoughts on the ties? Do we want to do away with the ties?
I think if after 5 quarters, pretty much, you can't split them, then call it a day there.
Okay. All right. I like seeing a result, but if you're happy with it.
Or is a tie not a
with you,
result?
Carts. No, I'm with you.
Wow, you know what I mean. Not a draw.
It makes it interesting in the fact that I think the Commanders. I did look at this yesterday because I was sussing out the Packers' run home. The Commanders have a bye this week. The Giants play someone. I'm not sure who it is, but then the Commanders play the Giants again, so they get them 2 weeks in a row.
It's weird how the schedule works out like that. Like even teams playing with each other within 3-4 weeks feels like too close for me. But yeah, to pretty much essentially go back to back for the Commanders.
Yeah,
the strange setup.
Do you think early thoughts?
Home and away?
Yeah.
Home and away? Yeah.
Absolutely. Early thoughts, does this give the Commanders an upper hand? They have a week off. They can go back and review their game, and then they can go back or they go forward and actually prepare for the Giants pretty much having 2 weeks.
I think we've touched on this before. It's like pros and cons for both. Like the Commanders can rest up and, watch a bit of film and do some study or whatever, but then the Giants can play themselves into a little bit more form if they have a really good week this week. So pros and cons for both, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Danny, this is your time to shine, mate. Shush.
Just back on that.
All right, fine, go. What do you want?
The Giants up against Philly next week. I was going to jump in, but you didn't pause. So the Giants up against Philly, so that's probably going to break their spirits a little bit.
You could have brought it up because I'm going to you now with the Philly versus Titans. You could have brought it up then, but no, you just ruined it. We might as well start again. No, the Titans were. I was a bit bullish on them. You were all about the Eagles. I was bullish on the Titans, and that was unfounded with a 35-10 win for your Eagles, mate. Jalen Hurts, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns. Just another solid week for him. I don't know how many rushing yards he had, but I don't say it was as much as you did against the Packers. And AJ Brown, he come out and said that 12 rushing yards. All right, that's definitely not as much. He had this game circled for a long time. 8 receptions, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns against his former team. Go, Danny. It's all yours.
So this was a pretty dominating game, especially in the second half. Like the Titans didn't score again. Jalen Hurts just doing pretty amazing things. And the only time he did rush, I think he carried 5 times for only his 12 yards, but one of them he did rush for a touchdown as well to keep his. He's done it quite a fair few times this season. The thing that's upsetting me most about this game is like even after this game, like a lot of ESPN like presenters and stuff come out and they've put like Philly is the chance to even just make the Super Bowl is like below 30%. They're putting them below like Dallas and a bunch of other teams, and I was just like, yeah, what are we now? Like 11-1? Like put some respect on the name. Jalen Hurts is doing incredible things. He's looking like an absolute MVP of the season. It's just interesting to see like professional presenters and stuff just still not giving him anything. I think they are well and truly performing above all expectations for this season, and I reckon they like take my bias out of it. I think they are 100% one of the contenders for this season.
Yeah, they have to be, but I don't think Philly or yourself, Philly fans, would be hating the fact that they're not giving you probably the due credit. Like you're almost going to go under the radar.
Yeah, which would be good, but I still think if you've got a record of 11-1, I think it was the first time since 2004 that they've gone on 11-1 run to start the season. I think if any team's coming up against a team with a record like that, you're going to be prepared. Like you're not going to treat them as underdogs, whether they got respect on them or not.
No, definitely. I don't think other teams won't be treating you as underdogs. But if the media wants to, then let the media. We are the media now, mate, and we're not getting underdogs. So
I agree with you, Danny Boy. You see that narrative quite a bit on the internet of like, oh, who have the Eagles beaten, or they limped across the line in this game, and da da da. You're 11-1. Like, if you guys aren't right up there, the Super Bowl favorites, then what are we talking about? But then just touching on the Titans, Mac Daddy, I agree with you. Like, I like the Titans. I think not bullish on them, but I think they're still quite a strong team. But it just seems that if Derrick Henry can't get his rushing game going, they just tend to struggle a bit. They can't seem to put teams away, or they can't just match it with these teams that are probably up just that little bit higher, that better standard. Like they can't go with him if it just seems like if Derrick Henry's not having a game.
Yeah, 100%.
I think he had 30 yards on the weekend, so that you find a way to stop him. You go a long way to beating the Titans.
Yeah, and Tannehill got sacked a whole bunch of times. I don't have the box score in front of me, but when I was watching the game, I was just like, it was like sack after sack after sack. So, the Titans need to improve on that as well, for sure.
Yeah, they're just that echelon below, aren't they? So, all right, we'll go on to Cardi, the game of the year by far. Ravens 6. There you go. Ravens versus the Broncos, 10 versus 9. This was a snore fest, mate. It had nothing to do with the game of the year.
Yeah, nah, poo-poo. That's enough. 10 versus 9. Ravens won. Whoopee. Lamar got injured. Russell and the
Hadley did get the job done. That's probably the only thing that the Ravens can take out of it.
Suck.
Yep.
Next game.
All right, we'll stay with you then because that wasn't much of a recap. Browns in the return of Deshaun got the job done, 27-14 in the last quarter, pretty much by the looks of it, 13-6 in the last quarter. Chubb, 17 carries for 80 yards. Again, another one just kind of going under the radar, but just doing a lot of the right things. Good win for the Browns, I guess.
And expected. Like obviously the Texans are struggling, and lots of eyeballs on Deshaun's first game. I just seen a little stat here that the Browns scored 3 touchdowns, none from offense. So that's interesting. How many did Deshaun? Yeah, so Deshaun no tutties, 131 yards by the looks of things. So. It's a way to win, but you're paying this bloke. What are we on? $230 million. Obviously, only $1 million this year, but the rest is all guaranteed, so he's getting it anyway. They're going to want to start seeing him performing pretty soon, I'd say.
Yeah, but to give him a little bit of leeway, he's playing an absolute high octane defense in the Texans, who are 1-10.
And to be fair, 700 days since he played a game of NFL. So that it's gonna take a little while to blow the cobwebs out. But the expected result there, everyone expected the Browns to get up, and they did.
And they did. A game that actually was pretty good in the end, Danny. The Seahawks and the Rams, 27-23 for the Seahawks. Surprisingly good game by the Rams, considering they're missing 3/4 of their roster. And a note which I didn't put in, it looks like Matthew Stafford's done for the year with, I think it was labelled as a contusion to his spine. I don't want to go into it too much, but I think he's done for the year. So that's pretty big news. Probably put a line through the Rams if they're not already. Geno Smith, your boy, 28 of 39 TC, 367 and 3 touchdowns. And Tyler Lockett. I've always liked Tyler Lockett because he has dominated even when they were good and now when they were bad, but when they're good, he's still up and about. 9 receptions, 128 yards and a touchdown. Danny, did you come across this game?
Yeah, so like you said, it's surprisingly close for the Rams, especially considering they've got literally they're playing with no one. Wolford obviously stood up a little bit in Matthew Stafford's place with 178 yards, but he did throw 2 interceptions, which isn't necessarily fantastic. But you and I put a line through the Rams last week, T-Mac, and just said, this Super Bowl hangover, they've lost all their roster, you might as well give up on them for the rest of the season. And for them to still go out and be competitive against the Seahawks with what they had, and to only go down by 4 points, I think is very impressive for LA. And it's probably good for all these other players that are stepping in to all these injured player just roles. It's just going to build them and have better strength, and hopefully they can come back a little bit better next season when the roster is a little bit more full, and with all these younger or other players getting more reps under their belt.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Stafford's been put on IR, so he's eligible to come back week 17, but I don't think you're putting in your veteran quarterback with 2 games to go with coming back from a contusion to the spine. I reckon he's done.
Yeah. He's got the concussion issue as well.
Yeah, and when he went into concussion protocols, they were saying it was a neck injury, so it must be his upper spine, which is something you definitely don't want to be messing with because you have an upper spine injury and it
no way.
Make it worse. You are in a whole lot of trouble. So I think even if he has the opportunity to come back, they're what I said before, 3-7 now. Why would you? You don't really have any
3-9.
3-9. Yeah, okay, so that's even worse. So you don't even have you're not even chasing the playoffs. So what's the point? What's the point in him coming back? Just sit him for the rest of the season, come back next season, and try and come back strong.
No point.
Absolutely. Great maths by you, Danny. 3 and 9 is worse than 3 and 7. Well done.
Yeah, and I don't know what I was thinking saying 3 and 7. What? We're in week 13. 3 and 7 is 10. Come on, Danny. You're better than that.
They've had 3 buys.
All right.
Just real quick, my man Gino, call me crazy. Sneaky MVP chance, depending how the rest of the year plays out for the Seahawks.
Yeah, they'd have to go pretty close to running the table from now on, I reckon. But
which they will, I reckon.
Which they will, right. He's more bullish on their team than he is his own. I like it. We will stick with you, Carts, the 49ers Dolphins. I said that the Dolphins high-octane offense. I keep saying high-octane a lot today, but they're very...
You're going to get
word of the day calendar. It's on here right there. Their high-potent offense was going to be a challenge for the 49ers defense, but not the case. Held them to 17 points. The 49ers scraped through with their backup QB to get 33, so 33-17 the win. Tua, 295 and 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey, 17 carries and 66. Now that he's a one-out running back with Elijah Mitchell going down. And Tyreek Hill, which I did say will have a big day, 9 receptions, 146 yards and 1 touchdown. So what are your thoughts on this one, Cass?
No, I think we touched on most of it before. Interesting to see what they'll do going forward, the 49ers, whether they stick with Brock or they try and go for sign Baker Mayfield. They're obviously still well within contention. Like they're going to, every chance they're going to go to the playoffs. Their defense is still holding up really well, as you mentioned, against a pretty strong offense in Tua and the Dolphins to hold them to 17, put on 33 themselves. They're still sitting in a pretty good position. Like obviously they picked up McCaffrey. He's doing, he's putting in work, scoring touchdowns. You got a receiving touchdown. There you go. I thought it was a rushing one. We touched on most of this game earlier, but interesting to see what they do moving forward at the QB position.
Absolutely. Maxi's Bengals, he was very up and about. Yes. We're going to get better at this.
Yeah. Just on that game as well, like we were talking last week and you were saying like the Dolphins, I'm pretty sure you picked the Dolphins in our little
I did.
line competition that we're doing.
We'll cover that Thursday.
Yeah. But on that, though, the San Fran have gone now to 5-1 at home. So they've got a major home court advantage when they're going to facing any team. And I think they just proved that this week as well, which I think is very impressive. It's going to look good for them going forward.
Yeah. Their only home loss was to the Chiefs when they blew them away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct. Which we will now talk about the Chiefs. They could not get the job done against Maxi's Bengals, and he was very, very happy about it. 10 points in the last quarter to the Bengals to overrun the Chiefs, which I think is probably one of the biggest surprises. Usually the Chiefs' real good front runners can run away with any kind of lead. Joey B, 286 and 2 touchdowns. And Jamar Chase, good to have him back, I'm sure. 7 receptions, 97 yards, and just looks very good running around the field. And P. Ryan, 21 carries, 106 yards, and I reckon he had another 20 or 30 through the air as well. So big day for him.
Yeah, he had another 49 through the air. So it was an absolute massive day for him. And it was a great game for the Bengals. I'm pretty sure I did the Chiefs for this one. And it's like you said, every time the Chiefs go into the Bengals, we touched on it before. We just said they haven't won a game since the 80s, which is pretty crazy. So really, if I'd have probably known that stuff beforehand, I would have been going the other way for sure. But the Bengals just came out and just performed, which was really, really good. And being able to score in the fourth made an absolutely massive difference for them in taking this win.
Yeah, absolutely. Timmy, your time to shine, mate. 27-20 over the Chargers. Devontae Adams had an absolute day out, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. And your boy, Josh Jacobs, 27 carries, 144 yards, and another touchdown. I don't know if he had any through the air, but I'm sure he did. And Faf's man, Herbert, 335 and a touchdown. So he did all he could, but just, I don't know, haven't quite got or kept up to the standards that everyone thought the Chargers were going to be early in the year.
Yeah, Jacobs, he had 6 receiving yards, so not a lot to add to the tally here. But I think we were talking
That
about
gets into 150.
Is he still the lead rushing player in the league at the moment?
Oh, I reckon with 144, he probably at least stays up there, yeah.
Might still be the leading rusher in the league, so he's absolutely balling out. And which they weren't, I can't remember at the start of the year, was he injured or they just weren't using him at the start of the year? Like the first.
No, it was a controversial start to the year. Remember they played him in the
preseason, that's right.
The preseason game when everyone's like, no one played the Hall of Fame game. They're like, no one played in that game.
Yeah. Good win. The Raiders are starting to string together a couple of good performances. Unfortunate for Faf. I haven't touched base with Faf yet about his thoughts on the game, if you got to watch it or not. But just for the Chargers, like if they don't get the likes of Eckler and who else is
Keenan
there?
Allen.
Yeah, if they don't get the likes of those boys firing, they seem to struggle. Like you said, Herbert, he's gone for 335 yards, but just, not really able to convert that into points. Yeah, Raiders just did enough. Ticked another little win into the wins column. What are we, 5 and 7? Okay.
5 and 7. I don't know. Are you still mathematically a chance as well?
I'm not sure. I'm just going to have a look at our division now. We are.
It's third in
we're 4 games. We're 4 games behind the Chiefs. I'm not sure how the wild cards work. So whether or not, I'd say we're not a chance.
Yeah, and you're pushing shit uphill, but
I think so, because I think just.
But you still want to. You had such a promise at the start of the year. Even if you don't make it, I think you need a few wins at the end of the year just to be like, you know what? It was just the first year. Strong. Yeah, get things moving. Get Jacobs, keep rolling forward.
Keep the Carr-Adams connection growing. Yeah, exactly. Get the rock in Jacobs' hands. Keep getting his numbers up, and then things look a little bit more promising for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny, do you have anything to say?
No, you can move on.
Yeah, perfect. Our final game before we just review the currently live game, the Cowboys versus the Colts. If our man Shawnee Harrison will be a very, very happy boy. They won 33-19 in the last quarter. So they actually won 54-19, but put 33 on in the last quarter. It was ridiculous. I reckon it was 4 turnovers for Matty Ryan in the last by itself. 1 fumble, 3 interceptions. It was ridiculous. He ended up going for 233 and 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard just continued on. 12 carries, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It just seemed like everyone was getting a touch of the footy. But early in the last, it was 19-20. And just from there, it just 19-21. Just turned to shit for the Colts. But the Cowboys, this is why they're up above the Birds in Super Bowl contention, because they're just, ever since their Packers loss, which was probably fair, they've just kind of got the train rolling, and they've keep moving and rolling over teams like the Colts.
Yeah, this isn't looking all that great for our mate Saturday. To, like you said, to get 33 points put on you in 1 quarter. I don't know what the record is, but surely that's knocking on the door. That is a lot. And the Cowboys, like you said, everyone was getting the touch. There was multiple. It was the franchise record for the Cowboys. There you go.
In a quarter.
So it was an absolute domination of a quarter. If anyone hasn't seen it, just go back and watch it, because it is incredibly entertaining. Like you said, multiple touchdowns from multiple different people and just pure domination. Yeah, poor Matty Ryan, he wasn't doing all that bad until then. But the 3 interceptions and the fumble, just really, really bad timing. And the Cowboys just took absolute advantage of it. And now they've pushed to 9-3. So I'm pretty sure they're in a couple games behind us in the NFC East.
So for the weekend, there was only 2 teams. There was one team that drew them, but there's only 2 teams that beat their final quarter for the entire game.
Yeah, which is absolutely crazy. It's almost unbelievable that they just dropped 33 points in a quarter. Yeah, it was good. Like you said, it was grass to watch. Yeah,
that last quarter. Did you see the fumble? The fumble from Mo Ali Cox, I think it was, and then it was the ball was literally on a string, bounced up to the Cowboys defensive player. I'm not sure who that was, I think he went on to score a touchdown. But like, just anything that could go wrong for the Colts did, and everything that needed to go right for the Cowboys did, and it was a demolition.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, I'll go through the current live game. We've got 3 minutes to go in the first half. New Orleans is actually up 7-3 against the Bucks. They do seem to have a bit of the wood over Brady and the Bucks. The Bucks have the ball though, driving forward. Brady's currently 12 of 18 for 73 yards. Andy Dalton's 5 of 9 for 117, and he's thrown a touchdown. I've got some thing in my ear now. Let's get rid of that. Anyone else big for the game? Not really. Godwin's gone for 26 receiving yards. Rashid Shaheed. Say that 3 times fast. 2 receptions for 59 with a long of 40 for the New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara, which we need him to pick up his game for my multis, 4 carries for only 10 yards. Any early predictions, Cardi? How do you reckon you see this game going 7-3 late in the second?
Bucks will rally. Brady will get it done.
Danny, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so not only do I agree with Cast, but the Bucks also need to get it done. As I said before, they're only just above the Falcons in the NFC South. If they want to carry on, they can't lose to the Saints. It's not going to be very good for them.
No. Well, we will go over this game on Thursday, but otherwise, that is our first 3-man threesome done and dusted, lads. Well done.
Jeez, I'm tired.
You did do a lot of the work, a lot of heavy lifting.
I was just going to say before we do go any further, do you want to give an update on where the tipping comp is at? We haven't really touched on it too much throughout the year, or do you want to let that lie? And also, what happened to our our Survivor pick series that we had going on? I know I've been getting a lot of DMs from the fam about what's going on with all these.
So the tipping, if you've got it in front of you, feel free to go through it. But I will say, I will touch on the Survivor. We've had 2 people left for the last 4 weeks.
They're still going.
So one of my boys from up home, Leroy, he's still in there. And our boy Faf is actually still in it.
You're joking.
No. So I'm not sure who they've both picked this week, but they are both in it.
Outstanding. Well, I'll just go through. I'll read out the top 5 of our tipping comp.
You're definitely in the top 5, aren't you? That's why you wanted to read it.
We got Harrow's pretty clear out on top. He'll have to shit the bed to sort of lose from here. Then Faf's is coming.
I can change some of his tips, I think.
Faf's coming second. Flog's in third. I'm coming fourth. And D-Wee, the work experience kid, is sitting at 5th.
Just on that, though, I didn't put my tips in this week. Well, I did put them in. They just didn't save, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah, so I put them in and then didn't get them.
Where am I sitting, Cards?
If you can change my tips, you need to. Please, let me back up there.
You're all the way down in 8th, mate.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which
I do go for a lot of outsiders.
You and I had a shocking start. We were both 13th and 14th for the first couple of weeks, so I've picked up my game.
What? And I've climbed 5 spots. That's not picking up my game?
No, you're not in the top 5.
Yeah. A special mention in that tipping comp. I don't know exactly where he is now, but Maxi Rambling absolutely shit the bed and threw the toys out with the cot and jumped out the tree. All those sayings. He was sitting second. I reckon only 2 or 3 behind Harrow. That was only like 2 weeks ago. Missed 1 game. Fuck it, he's done. I don't know if he even does his picks anymore. So
it
real
looks
poor
like
effort from Maxi.
Anywhere, but he hasn't put his tips in this week. He's sitting 9th behind you.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like a Max sort of thing to do.
Yeah. He missed 1 game and was like, nah, this is shit. Didn't do it again.
Yeah, the same thing happened in our footy tipping competition for work. Same thing happened. He was doing really well, missed 1 week or like the first half of a week, and that was it. Toys gone, out the cot. I'm done and dusted.
Yeah, real
we love
performance.
We love him.
Yeah. All right, boys. That is our week done. Now, I believe that Danny, you will be available Thursday, but Timmy, you're off jet setting again, mate. What is it? Hawaii this time? Where are we off to?
I am on a holiday this week. I'm going to the cricket in Adelaide, so I'll be living it up over there. I might be able to get on the phone and do a ring-in, or we'll see how we go. See if we can tee something up, but no promises.
How many cups of coffee will you be having when you're getting on the phone?
There might be a couple of cups of coffee in the morning. We'll see how we go.
I might send you a message beforehand.
Depends what time you want to jump on and do this.
Yeah, I might do a nighttime one. See how you're really going.
Yeah, that might be all right.
Nah. All right, so Danny, are you locked in for Thursday, mate?
Yeah, mate, you know me. The work experience kid can't miss a week.
Nah.
Yeah, you missed 1 week as the work experience kid and you're gone.
Yeah, that's 100%. You are.
I'm just clawing on for my spot.
Nah, good work.
Trio now.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. We'll work out the kinks, and I think it's actually worked pretty well.
Maybe a little raise your hand system if you've got something to say, so we don't jump all over the top of each other.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe every now and then just bounce the other person's team back in case I want to add something to a game that we've both watched. Just every now and then.
That's a very great point.
Just a suggestion. Just throw something in the suggestion box for maybe next week. See how you go.
Yeah. Write it in TC24. He'll get it back to me.
I have had a request. We need to bring back the fromage talk. There was some disappointed people, so we do need to revisit that. We've kind of turned into half a little food style podcast.
If we've got time, I hit Niels with questions without notice the other day, my partner, and I was like, Niels, what's your favourite cheese? I was like, the fromage fan want to know. And she was like,
all right, well,
she stopped.
We have two. So, Meals, what is Meals' favourite?
Yeah, so she stopped and she looked at me with all seriousness, like deadpan looked at me, and she was like, it has to be brie. I was like, Meals, why does it have to be brie? She was like, it's so versatile. You can do it with everything. She's like, you can make brie, so you can have it soft. You can cut brie up. You can put it in a salad. In the north of England, they actually have a thing called a brie and grape sandwich. And that is like literally slices of brie and then grapes cut in half on white bread. And that's like, we used to take that for a school lunch. I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. I'm a big brie fan as well. Because you can get lots of different styles of brie. You can get double cream, triple cream, truffle brie, blue brie. It's just one of the most versatile cheeses. So after she said it, I was like, so why don't you change mine? I was like, you're talking me into this. She was so passionate about it. I was like, I
evaluate everything.
Yeah, I'm like, do I have to reevaluate my life? Am I going to have to apologise to the fromage fan about what I originally said a couple of weeks ago? But no, I'm sick of it. Anyway. But she makes valid points.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I imagine it is not as in-depth or anything anywhere near that, but Timmy, what's your favourite cheese?
I'm a bit of a cheese weirdo, so I only like cheese in certain circumstances. I'm not as much into the fancy cheeses, so I'm pretty run of the mill. I like a bitey, tasty sort of vintage. No, vintage.
Vintage, yeah, very crumbly, or
crumbly's good.
Yep. Now, I don't know what some of these weird and intricate situations.
No, not weird. I just don't delve into the fancy ones. I don't, I won't dip into your blue cheeses or anything like that. I don't like. Anything that's too strong.
Say hello to Anna for me. That'd be great.
I will.
I'm presuming she was the one that was calling.
I'm not getting a call.
Oh, Daddy's gone. See you, mate.
Probably the bloke who's off the screen.
He just left. Fromage fam is onto him. This is bullshit. Don't talk to us about this brie crap.
Live reports from the fromage fam. They're not happy. Don't you dare change your favourite cheese.
Fair enough. All right. Well, while he's gone, I'll say goodbye to you and have fun back in Hawaii, mate. Make sure you don't come back too tanned and beautiful.
Nah, I promise I won't.
Yeah. See you, Danny.
Bye, Danny. See you, fam.
Danny's gone. He's actually gone.
Oh, well, let's just leave.
Yeah, we will. See you, mate.
All right. See you, Mac.